In today's gospel reading, we find Jesus telling his disciples to be at peace. He says to them, "Peace be with you." But they were startled and terrified and thought that they were seeing a ghost. Then he said to them, "Why are you troubled? And why do questions arise in your hearts? Look at my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Touch me and see, because a ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you can see I have." As he said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. While they were still incredulous for joy and were amazed, he asked them, "Have you anything here to eat?" They gave him a piece of baked fish, and he took it and ate it in front of them. These beautiful words of Jesus are about peace. And at Easter, I so think it's important that we enter into this season and leave it with a tremendous sense of peace. I brought you here by our little fire so that we remember that Jesus appeared to his disciples when they were in a locked room, when they were in fear, and he said, "Peace be with you. Peace be with you." That they apparently were fixing something to eat at that time when he showed up to be with them. It was dark at that time, because we know that because the two disciples from Emmaus, they come while they're right before Jesus appears to the disciples, and we know that they left when it was dark, and they came there to Jerusalem and brought this news, and then Jesus himself shows up with them. And I think the question for us is, what is it that takes away the peace that we should have with Jesus? Do we believe that he rose from the dead, and that the goal of God, the love of God, the delight of God is that we should be with him, and that we should experience his love and his life here in this world? That knowing him and his resurrection, there should follow in whatever we do a basic sense of peace. It can be very hard to do because there's so many things that happen to us and around us. But mostly I think it's because we pick up from what other people say and how they act, and somehow we think that that should be our response, or if we don't respond as other people respond, we're not truly being sympathetic or compassionate. How much better it might be if we pay attention to the fear of the disciples when they see Jesus there, the joy that then follows, and in between, a tremendous peace. And when Jesus goes, a tremendous peace comes upon them. In our lives, there's enough trouble and enough problem and enough difficulty to last us until we die. But there's a greater amount of peace that comes from Christ. It's not the peace that comes from saying that bad things aren't going to happen, because bad things do happen. But it comes from knowing that we have a Lord and a Savior with us who is far more capable of helping us through those difficult times than we are by ourselves. That we're never alone. The disciples eventually will hear the words of Jesus saying, "I am with you till the end of the ages." And they will take that very much to heart. They will realize that Jesus with them is capable of so much more than if they just were doing his will by themselves. And so the Lord has challenged each of us to live our lives for him and to surrender our lives to him. So the challenge that I offer you now is to do that, knowing the deepest interior peace inside of you. Inviting Jesus to flood your heart, and as flooding your heart, help you to put those worries so that they're not as alive and as fearsome and as strong, but that what reigns in your life is a beautiful, beautiful peace. We all know people who seem to have a peace in all circumstances of their lives. And many of them we know it comes from their profound faith in God. May we have that same peace so that as we hear Jesus say, "Peace be with you," we might hear that echoing in our hearts and allowing us to truly be at peace.